After you've picked a research topic and have started finding sources, you're going to need a way to keep track of which information came from where, and then you'll need to be able to organize all of that so your final product makes sense. I'm going to show you the way I was taught to do this. It's pretty old school, and I doubt you'll actually do it this way, but it explains what needs to happen really well. Once you understand the basic ideas, you can use them to create your own system that works for you. This method is called the note card system. Back in the dark ages when hardly anybody had a laptop, this is how a lot of us tracked our sources. You need a big old stack of index cards. The first step when you sit down to skim or read a source is to write down or type out all of the bibliographic information for the source. It can be informal, and it doesn't have to be in perfect MLA or APA format yet, but you do need to make sure that you have all of the pieces, so you can just put them in the right order later. So for an article, you need all of the author's names, the article title, the journal title, the volume and issue number, page number range, and the database it came from, or the DOI if there is one. The first source you work with is going to be source number 1, even if the author's last name starts with Z. You'll put your bibliography in order later. Right now, just make sure you have your citation info and that it's marked as number 1. If you do want to put it in APA or MLA format now to save time later, you can do that too. So now we're reading through source number 1 and we find a sentence that we really like. I'm going to make a note card. First, put a 1 in a top corner. That means that this quotation or piece of information came from source number 1. On the other top corner, put a brief description of the idea or topic. Now you're going to write out either a direct quote or a paraphrase. If it's a quotation, make sure that you use quotation marks. If it's a paraphrase, make sure that you don't. Finish off your note card with the page number at the bottom. There you go. That's your first source card. You're going to repeat this, making a new card for each quotation or piece of information that you think you might use later on. When you're done going through all of your sources, you're going to go back through the cards and sort them by topic. At this point, you may realize that some of your topics only have 1 or 2 cards and may not have enough information to include those subjects in your project. You may also realize that some of your points or topics are only supported by information from one source. That's a sign that you may need to do a little more fill-in-the-holes research on that specific area. Once you have your information weeded out and filled in, you can arrange the topics in an order that makes sense. And hey, look at that! You have a rough outline for your project, complete with all of the supporting information you need for each section. When you use a quotation or a piece of information, you can look at source number 3 or whatever in your source list to see what to put for your in-text citation. The page number that you need is right there on your card. So that's the note card system in a nutshell.